Hello everyone and welcome back to the Great Book of Grudges. My name is Nathan and we're back with another Total War Warhammer video. Yesterday we spoke about the possible demonic units for the Forces of Khorne, where we checked out some units implemented through the 8th edition rulebook, some 6th edition stuff, and even the possibility of some homebrew style units. Today we're going to go over my personal favourite god and her forces. We are going to go over the Demons of Slaanesh, so let's not waste any more time and jump right in. Slaanesh is one of 4 main chaos gods, and is the god of pleasure, passion, excess, and decadence. Slaanesh is not known for warfare, but rather taking out your enemy quickly and efficiently through skirmishing tactics. As expected, Slaanesh's armies follow suit with their patron deity. You're not to expect an army of proficient fighters, but rather an army that can cut at the throat at a moment's notice. The first and the most numerous of Slaanesh's servants is that of the Daemonette. Take a good look at them, as we are going to see a lot of Daemonettes within this army. Daemonettes form the very foundation of Slaanesh's armies. In the battlefield, a single Daemonette might not be that impressive. They aren't very strong, but they are incredibly fast. And it is very common to see them in extremely large numbers. Their claw-like pincers are their only weapon, which is a bit of a shame as Slaanesh, like Khorne, lacks a lot of units, so seeing other variants might be a tad difficult. Next we have the Seekers of Slaanesh. These are the basic cavalry of the Slaaneshi forces. As expected, Daemonettes will also feature here, but it is the steeds of Slaanesh themselves, the mount option, which are the main reason as to why these units are so unique. These are poison attacking and extremely fast moving mounts. They're able to move around the battlefield at extreme speeds, often being compared to with the elven steeds. Stat-wise again, they're not too impressive. In fact, they are pretty average or below average at that. It's only really their incredible speed that makes them quite valuable. As with them, you'll be able to flank around your enemy or take out any undefended artillery at a rather quick speed. Next we have 2 units, the Seeker Chariot and Exalted Seeker Chariot. As you can already imagine by now, the forces of Slaanesh rely on a lot of fast-moving units, so it only makes sense for chariots to be a part of this roster. Both of them work in the exact same way, again pulled by steeds of Slaanesh, meaning that these chariots are incredibly fast, and should be even when compared to other chariots. Of course, the Exalted Seeker of Slaanesh does a lot more damage, especially in regards to any impact hits, as its mass is much larger. So it's extremely obvious here that both chariots fall into different tiers. Perhaps the standard Seeker Chariot will fall around tier 2, and the Exalted Seeker Chariot would fall around tier 3 or tier 4. That's obviously depending how many different variants get implemented, of course. And if Creative Assembly decide to add in more units to fluff up the army, which in all honesty Slaanesh does very much need it. Next we have the Fiends of Slaanesh. Think of these more in a similar sense to Chaos Spawn, however once again as it is Slaaneshi, it is incredibly mobile. Though its damage output, unlike the other Slaaneshi stuff, is a bit more decent. You should be more than able to have a Fiend of Slaanesh charge into enemy head on, and they should act as rather valuable support for any frontline Daemonettes that you may have. Since they are more durable and will do a bit more damage, you will need all the support you can have, whilst your chariots and your riders flank around and try to pin them down. Lastly, in regards to 8th edition units, we have the Hellflayer of Slaanesh. And yes, this is as deadly as it looks. It is a chariot unit and perhaps one of the most deadliest of all of Slaanesh's arsenal. A chariot with a weapon which more alludes to a bunch of gigantic razor blades. Daemonettes who are chosen to ride atop of Hellflayers are considered to be quite prestigious in rank. The Hellflayer itself is extremely destructive, and due to its high mobility could be used for a number of purposes. Of course, the basic skirmishing idea works the best, where you will have some Daemonettes tying down an enemy, with Hellflayers then coming in through the side or through the rear. There is very little in terms of army diversity, unfortunately. It's mostly chariots and fast moving stuff, but then again that's what always fit with the lore of Slaanesh. You're not supposed to expect heavily armored stuff, although it can be assumed that the chariots themselves would have a decent amount of armor. That's pretty much all the roster in terms of 8th edition units, and there is only one unique unit that was added during the Storm of Chaos, the Pleasure Seekers of Slaanesh. Again, as can be expected, another fast-moving unit, but more in the form of heavy cavalry too. They won't be as powerful as, say for example, Blood Crushers, but they do have decent enough stats to compare. While the army itself does not have the most variety, in fact, it's very much, if you can compare it to, a stripped-down version, and even by that, extremely stripped-down version of Bretonnia. But instead of just cav, you're replacing a few of those with chariots. It's a rather interesting army because it's a very different playstyle. Then again, as we carry on with this series, you will notice that all the different Chaos Gods have different forms of combat. Khorne we've discussed, it's very front-facing, but also some heavily armored chariots. Whereas Slaanesh here is very much focused on skirmish tactics. Of course, when you take magic into effect, which we've already discussed in a previous video, some stuff does get changed around. But I imagine out of all the 4 Chaos Gods, it might be the most difficult to more master Slaanesh's forces than any other. The lack of variety will be a bit of a hindrance, but as you start progressing, you should more or less find your footing. If any faction out of all the Chaos Gods needs some mortal servants, it's of course Slaanesh. It's the most stripped down roster and desperately needs a little bit more fluff. However, that's a topic for another day. What do you think about Slaanesh's demons? I understand that this possible playstyle will not be for everyone, but let me know your thoughts in the comments below and let's start a bit of a discussion. But with that, my friends, we've come to the end of our video. Thank you so much for watching. If you did enjoy the video, might I suggest giving the video a like or even subscribing to the channel, as it really does help us out. In the description section below are various links to different social media platforms such as Facebook, Instagram and Discord. Also in the description section is an affiliate link with Element Games where you could buy loads of hobby-based products, not just Warhammer, for 10 to 25% off. Making a purchase using that link and also our special code, which is also in the description, supports the channel at no extra cost to you, which we think is rather cool. A big thank you to our patrons. Your support means the world to us. It's amazing that people want to help a small channel like us grow and get to a higher level of content. A big thank you to Gibraltar LUSC, Ryan Bertsche, Andrew Prince and Okro for subscribing to us at our Fane level. You guys are super cool. And a big thank you to Edward Yule, VS Vasan, Aaron Whitman and Shaggy for subscribing to us at our King level. Honestly, we can't thank you all enough. And lastly, a big thank you to all of you for liking, sharing and commenting on these videos. Honestly, it's because of you guys that the channel's been growing at such a great pace lately, so we can't thank you all enough. But with that, my friends, thank you so much for watching once again, and we shall see you all again very, very soon. Have a good day.